Love by the Niagara River. The sky was blue, the sunlight gentle, and the waters of the Niagara River sparkled like glass. People were laughing, splashing, and enjoying the cool breeze along the riverbank. Children ran around with joy, couples took pictures, and a few brave souls stepped into the water to swim. Among them was a young woman named Emily. Her golden hair danced in the wind, and her laughter echoed with life. She and her friends had come to cool off in the river, and everything felt peaceful, until something unexpected happened. As Emily swam a little farther into the deeper part, her friends noticed her slowing down. Suddenly, she lost her balance. Her face turned pale, and before anyone could react, she went under the water. "Emily!" her friend screamed, panic filling the air. Nearby, a young man named Ethan was sitting with his friends on the shore. The moment he heard the scream, he stood up and dove straight into the river without a second thought. He swam powerfully toward the spot where Emily had gone under. The water was cold and rough, but he didn't stop until he found her, motionless beneath the surface. Ethan grabbed her and pushed hard toward the shore. When they reached land, Emily wasn't breathing. People gathered around in shock. Ethan quickly laid her down, pressed on her chest, and gave her CPR, firm but careful. Seconds felt like hours. Then finally, Emily coughed. Water came out of her mouth, and she took a deep breath. Ethan exhaled with relief. The people around began to clap. Someone said, "God bless you, man. You just saved her life." Emily slowly opened her eyes. Her vision was blurry, but she could see his face. "You saved me," she whispered. Ethan smiled softly. "Yeah, but I think you can thank me with a smile instead of words." Emily smiled faintly, a quiet, grateful smile that said more than words ever could. Later that day, the doctor at the hospital said, "You're lucky. A few more seconds underwater, and you wouldn't be here." That night, Emily couldn't stop thinking about that moment, about the stranger who had pulled her out of death and brought her back to life. The next day, she went back to the Niagara River. Maybe she hoped to see him again. And there he was, standing near the water, watching the waves. "I guess I should thank you properly now," Emily said softly. Ethan turned around with a grin. "Just promise me you'll stay away from deep water," he replied. They both laughed. That was the beginning of something neither of them had expected. Over the next few weeks, they kept meeting, sometimes by the river, sometimes at a nearby cafe. Emily started to realize that maybe this wasn't just gratitude anymore, it was something deeper. Ethan, usually quiet and serious, found himself opening up to her. He told her stories, listened to her dreams, and often said, "Your smile is brighter than this river." Their bond grew stronger. One evening, sitting by the water, Emily said, "I never really thanked you for saving me." Ethan looked into her eyes and said, "I saved your life that day, but you've been saving mine ever since." Months passed. Emily introduced Ethan to her family. They were surprised but deeply thankful. The man who once saved her life had now become her happiness. A year later, they got married, right there by the Niagara River, where their story had begun. The sun was setting, the river shimmered, and the air was filled with the sound of flowing water and laughter. Emily wore a white gown, and Ethan stood beside her in a blue suit. As the ceremony ended, Emily smiled and said, "I lost my breath in this river once, and today, I found my whole life here." Ethan held her hand and replied,